Happy Thursday, everyone, and welcome to Fantasy Football Today, DFS. We're talking week 9 slate, main slate, afternoon slate, early slate. We've got Meg Shoup. We've got Mike McClure. Meg, it's 11 games, 8 games in the 1 o'clock window, 3 in the 4 o'clock window. How you feeling about it this week?
Good. I think it's a fun, exciting slate. There's a lot to like, so it's going to be a lot to narrow down, and hopefully this show will help everybody watching and us do that.
Mike, we were talking pre-show just now about some of the builds and some of the interesting builds that we have potentially upcoming this week. And one thing we referenced, I just want to just kind of get it out there, some different type of builds than maybe we've had for the first 8 weeks. We were talking a lot of 2 tight end stuff. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, a lot of 2 tight end stuff, either 3 running back or 2 tight end. There's going to be a lot of value at running back, but at tight end, I think there's some really great plays as well. And it, depends on where you're kind of jamming them in. But I think that as long as you want to pay up for a guy like Jamar Chase or Christian McCaffrey or both, I think there's very viable paths to getting essentially whatever top 2 studs you want if you're willing to play 2 tight ends.
Fair enough. We're going to get to a lot of the tight ends that we might like and a lot of the running backs, receivers, quarterbacks. Obviously, at the end of the show, we have our cheat sheets and our top 3 at each position. Before we get to the first game, though, I got to give a congratulations to our Week 8 winners. Top 3, KDR Spud, CHK Hawk, Check Hawk. I'm not sure what that's supposed to stand for. And Red Slashers. That was 1, 2, and 3 in our Week 8 FFT DFS contest. That contest is already in the podcast description, in the YouTube description. So if you're listening to the podcast right now, what I want you to do is just click on the podcast description and click on the link, and it's $5 to enter the FFT DFS contest. Get in that contest right away if you can. All right, let's go to, we got 11 games to tackle, and the last couple of weeks it's been 10 games. So let's go to the Broncos and the Texans. Not a super sexy one. This next one, Bears Bengals, certainly will be. Meg, I'm going to start with you. I don't know that there's a lot of plays I like in this game, but there are a couple. Broncos Texans is a 39.5 point total. Texans favored at home by 1.5. We see the news and notes here. A big one on the defensive end for the Broncos is Patrick Surtain out with a pec strain. Marvin Mims in the concussion protocol, did not practice on Wednesday. Maybe that opens things up for some of the receivers. But Meg, this is a tough matchup. Do you like anything here?
It is a tough matchup. I do think obviously Surtain being out makes it more appealing, but there are just so many spots on this slate. Like I said, I'm having more of a trouble this week of narrowing things down. So for me, I think I'm not going to get to a lot here because there's just so much else to like.
Yeah, Mike, this is interesting. I mean, I think people might want to speculate on Nico Collins just because of the Surtain news. Troy Franklin was a guy I think we talked about a little bit, but probably not enough last week. I did have him in one of my 4 o'clock slate lineups, but I should have had him in all of them. With all of that said, the only one that stands out to me in this game is probably Woody Marks, because I think he has some big playability, and I think the Broncos defense away from home, I think we could see Woody Marks with some chunk receptions and some chunk runs. I think that's a stretch, but I think I'm willing to do it. Are you willing to play anybody in this game?
I don't think so. There's a lot of, as Meg mentioned, there's some spots that I really like and really want to get to. Looking through all the numbers here, I'm not getting anywhere in this game, really. The first piece way down would be Nico Collins if he's out there and active and everything. But there's so many, I guess, let me rephrase that. There's one spot here that I would play, and it would be the Texans defense at 2,900. That does project as playable here for me. Got a little bit of exposure on it, but everything else, I'm for sure going to be out on skill position players.
I worry about Bo Nix on the road here. I think this is a really good part of the season for the Texans to start to assert, some of what we thought we were going to see from them coming in. I think I like that call on the Texans defense. I've even started looking at props for Sportsline and our prop show tomorrow. And one of them, I've already put a couple of props in, but one of them is J.K. Dobbins unders, under rushing yards. I want to see what happens with that number first. Let's go to the next game. Bears -3 at the Bengals. Mike, this is one of those games we're probably going to get some pieces. Obviously, we don't know if Joe Flacco's playing. We got to wait and see what's going on with his shoulder there. There's some injuries on the Chicago side, at least in terms of guys not practicing on Wednesday. Should be okay. Rome Odunze, DeAndre Swift, DJ Moore. Mike, what do you like in this one? Because I feel like there's a lot to like, particularly on that Bengals side?
Yeah, it's going to be almost exclusively Bengals side for me. It would be Flacco to Jamar Chase. Just if they're out there together, you can pencil Jamar Chase down for probably 14 targets. And like, it's just, I know that some of them are not all high quality targets. They're not all, having the ability to essentially be a touchdown on any play. Like you could have maybe thought with someone like Burrow out there, but the volume just is king here, right? I think that both of these teams leave a lot to be desired defensively. I think that there's going to be opportunities to move the ball. I like the fact that it's at home. It's Flacco to Chase. As long as Flacco's out there, Jamar Chase is the first player in my lineups this week.
Mike, real quick, if Flacco is not out there, we're going to have a $4,000 Jake Browning. Any thoughts?
No, I'm not going to do it. I will jump off of Jamar Chase at that point. I've seen enough of Browning. Like could Chase get there still? Yes, definitely. I'd probably be playing the Bears defense in tournaments if Browning starts. Just for the upside. Like I think that you could there's upside for a defensive score there.
Mm-hmm.
Meg, I got to be honest. If Browning's the quarterback and he's 4K, I'm definitely playing him. I mean, I'm not saying I'm playing him in all my lineups, but I'm definitely playing just because it's just such a crazy discount. We don't know what to expect with the Bears defense on the road. So I get like Mike's stance. I'm going to go ahead and play him, pair him with Jamar Chase, and then just see what else I can do with the savings in my lineup. What do you like in this game? Are you on board with Flacco and Chase? And is there anybody else? Like on the Bears side, I'm not really intrigued by anybody, including Caleb Williams. Like, I mean, 5,700 seems like an okay price. Rome Odunze is probably going to be healthy for this game. I'm just not really interested in, 6,600 Rome Odunze. It's a no thank you to me.
For the Bears side, Caleb has been struggling. So not Caleb for me. I have Rome Odunze in my pool, but the player I'll play the most, they've really leaned into the run, probably part because of Caleb's struggles, but the Bears have really leaned into the run game. So if Swift is good to go, Swift is going to be one of the running backs that I will likely play in my pool. So Swift on the Bears side. And again, it all hinges on if Flacco plays. If Flacco plays, then I'm in on the Bengals side. Obviously, Flacco, Chase, even Higgins stacks, and definitely Chase, even one-offs if Flacco's playing. But if Flacco's out, I'm just out, and probably then just the Bears defense and Swift.
I know you were on T. Higgins last week. Would he be a possibility this week at 5,900 versus the Jamar Chase at 8,400, of course?
Right. I mean, they're both, if Flacco plays, they're both in my pool. And if, no, I think Higgins would still be like a contrarian option. He only had the one big touchdown last week, but I'd like to see him get a little more volume and it'd be a little more distributed. But he's definitely still in my pool if Flacco plays, but Chase would be the priority then, like Mike was saying.
Mike, before we move on, so DeAndre Swift gets a great matchup, but Kyle Monungai's starting to get a few more carries in much the same way Samaje Perine getting more carries and more snaps with Chase Brown. Are you off all of the running backs in this game?
I am, and it's just a product of the week itself, right? So there's other running back value that I think is pretty clear cut. I want to play Christian McCaffrey at the top, so because of what you mentioned, kind of the timeshare there, like there's upside and you could probably win a tournament even by getting it right. I think it's more difficult to get it right in that spot than it is to play some of the obvious value and try to win elsewhere in your lineup. So my personal preference this week is going to be lock in on some of the running backs we'll talk about a little later, play some of the pass catchers in this game or the passing game, and kind of avoid the running games here.
Well, instead of a little later, how about right now? Because there's a couple running backs in this 49ers Giants game that I know you're referring to. I like them both, and let's let everybody know who they are. Tyrone Tracy's only 5,100, and Meg, RIP to Cam Scatterboo season. That was your best ball king, and now it's going to be Tyrone Tracy, maybe a little Devin Singletary, but I think mostly Tyrone Tracy at 5,100. Side note, I'm looking at his prop in that 51.5 rushing yards category. After this show, I might put that prop bet in on Sportsline because I think he's going to get some run, but he's 5,100. Obviously CMC, Mike, is 8,800. You like both of these running backs. So talk to me about that and talk to me about whether you like anything else in this game. Yeah,
I like both the running backs. I really like the game as a whole. Like I like it a lot. honestly. And I think that some may even be surprised by a Niners Giants outdoor game total 48.5 at this point. I think it's warranted though. When I look at this spot for San Francisco, it's all-time Shanahan motivational spot. Go in, get the win, and keep things moving in the right direction. And the Giants, like Jackson Dart's going to be out there. He's going to be playing. He's going to be playing hard. I like Tracy. I like some of the receiving cores. I don't think that San Francisco is as good as advertised defensively.
Right.
So I just think that this game has got a lot of shootout potential. So I like both running backs. I'll be playing Tracy. I'll be playing Christian McCaffrey. I'll play either quarterback. And to be honest with you, like when you look at the pricing, we mentioned Jake Browning at 42 or 4,000 even. I'll play Jackson Dart at 5,200 with the rushing upside before I'll play that. I'll play Mac Jones at an even 5K and just use him as an extension of Christian McCaffrey in this environment before I would speculate on Browning again at 4K. So I think both quarterbacks are in play, both starting running backs. As far as other spots in the game, like I'm getting a decent amount, whether it be Theo Johnson at tight end, I think is cheap enough, a good enough play with all the options kind of beat up. Tracy is fine in the passing game and can definitely fill in and be serviceable. He's definitely not Scatabo in the passing game. So I think there could be either more rushing when plays break down for Jackson Dart or more looks to a guy like Theo.
Meg, Jackson Dart at 5,200 is extremely appealing. So I like CMC. I like, I like Tyrone Tracy. I don't even mind playing Jackson Dart and Tyrone Tracy and hoping that implied total for the Giants of 23, which is already pretty high, we exceed that and just gobble up all the points for the Giants with those two players at like really cheap prices. Are you on board with Tracy and CMC? And do you like the quarterbacks or anybody else in this game?
I think, like Mike said, the total is very warranted because of both of these defenses. They're defenses that we want to target. So I do like the over here. As far as the running backs, I'm very, very, very much in on CMC. He is a chalk buy for me. And I'm on the opposite side. And it's not just because of my Cam Scatabo love that I truly am struggling getting over the loss of him. But it's that I just don't feel like he's worth the chalk. I'd rather go to some other chalky spots on this slate that I feel a little more comfortable in. So Tracy's actually going to be a chalk fade for me. CMC is going to be a chalk buy for me. I still like your approach. I think the line for Tracy is fine. I just don't think he's going to be worth it to pay it off. He doesn't have a nose for the end zone as much as Scatabo did. I wouldn't even be surprised if they used Singletary around the end zone, around the goal line, excuse me. So I like your prop. I just don't like him as a chalk play in DFS. So
yeah, that's totally fair. That's totally fair. We don't know exactly what's going to happen on the at the goal line, and honestly, that could be Jackson Dart that gets a lot of that too. I mean, if you look at Jackson Dart's rushing prop, if I remember correctly, it was in the high 30s. So Jackson Dart seems like, especially with this banged up 49ers defense, he seems like a guy that, Mike, could you even play Jackson Dart solo and run it back with CMC and call it a day in this game?
You definitely can. Definitely can.
Yeah.
I love Dart too. I'm fully in on Jackson Dart. I have Theo Johnson in my pool as a cheap tight end. And that's it on the Giants side. On the 49ers side, it's McCaffrey. And then I do have Kittle in the pool. Much better matchup for him this week. And he still got in the end zone last week on National Tight Ends Day. But it's McCaffrey and Kittle then for me on the 49ers side.
Notable, at least, that Wan'Dale Robinson's only 5,100. Darius Slayton, who does still have that big playability, only 4,100 if you wanted to get cute with a Jackson Dart stack. Again, I'm picturing Brian Dable, like, how much he loves Jackson Dart. It's like over the top, right? I'm picturing him looking at him, like in his eyes, like just like gazing into his eyes and saying, like, you're all we've got left. Like everybody's hurt. You got to save my job. Like just do everything you possibly can. And Jackson Dart is the right kid for that assignment. All right. We got to get to some more games. Chargers, Titans, Falcons, Patriots, Panthers, Packers, Colts, Steelers, Vikings, Lions. That's just the 1 o'clock slate, folks. We're going to hit all of that right after this message from our partners.
We need your sports news anywhere.
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
We're back on Fantasy Football today. DFS, I'm joined by Meg Shoup and Mike McClure. Meg, I'm going to start with you with Chargers Titans. Not a particularly sexy game. Sorry, I keep using that word. I'll try to use it. Not a particularly hot game to play here. Chargers are a big favorite. It's a 43.5 point total. However, given this game script, there certainly are some players we might be interested in. Most notably, Kamani Vidal at 6,300. I think on the Chargers side too, you could look at the receivers, but I don't know if this is the game script to pile up, Justin Herbert stacks or really any of these receivers. Oronde Gadsden's been priced up a bit at 5,300. I think what a lot of people are going to do, rightfully so, is take Kamani Vidal and just get out. However, I do want to point out one of my props last week, Chimray DK. I had him over 27.5 yards and he got about 90. He's only 3,900. Tajay Spears, if you want to take that chance, is only 5,100. We're starting to see things even out a little bit between him and Tony Pollard. I'm not saying I'm getting there. I'm just pointing it out. Meg, do you like anything in this game?
Basically just the Chargers side. It is going to be Vidal as the priority play for me at running back. And then you could definitely consider Herbert stacks for sure. This is likely going to be a blowout. So I just don't know that they're without much of any pushback. I don't know that we're going to get that massive ceiling game. I do still like Gadsden though, even at that elevated price. And that's why I may do some 2 tight end builds. So I'd say Vidal and Gadsden are my 2 priorities, nothing on the Titan side for me.
Mike, I know you mentioned the 2 tight end build thing. Would Oronde be one of those 2 tight ends, or you just like so many other tight ends that he wouldn't make that particular type of lineup construction?
So many, so many other tight ends that I like. The price point, it makes sense. He's probably able to pay that off in most matchups. I question how much, if he doesn't get it early, how much they need to go there. I like Kamani Vidal in this game a little bit. Even at 6,300, he should have a ton of volume again in this particular spot. But the passing game, I really question how much they have to throw late in this one. So I'll be off of Gadsden as much as I like him. My hope here is that he does essentially nothing. The price point kind of stays where it's at, and we all kind of forget about him for a week or two.
Meg, any thoughts on chasing Chimray DK at 3,900 just because he's so cheap and it's a negative game script?
I get the call for, the negative game script and everything. I probably won't. Too many other receivers I like more.
It's tough because, I had the prop last week and I really liked it because we keep talking about Io Manor, but this guy was drafted ahead of him. This is part of the reason I had the prop because he started to emerge. And so when I hit it and I hit it so easily, people were like, oh, you laddered it, right? And I said, well, no, because I couldn't bring myself to ladder a receiver that's tied to a Tennessee Titans and Cam Ward offense. No offense, but I just couldn't get there. And, looking back, I guess perhaps I should have, but it didn't get there. I will be playing some DK at 3,900 because I do think he's emerging and I'm probably going to be looking for some value spots. So I'll be playing him, but I'm not super invested in that take. Let's go to the Falcons and the Patriots. This one has probably a lot more interest. Drake May, 6,500. Of course, the Patriots favored by 5-6 points, depending on where you look. It's a 45.5 point total. Meg, I'll start with you again here because it's Drake May season all season. Any thoughts on playing him against the Falcons, who notably have a pretty good pass defense, or at least we think they do? Granted, some of their competition hasn't been so good. Drake May has been so good against everybody, including the Cleveland Browns. You look at his stat line in some of these games and you might trick yourself into thinking, oh, it's a pretty good game, but it's not great. Part of the reason is because they're crushing all these teams and he's throttling down. So I think I'm going to include Drake May in my pool just because I think it'll be different. I might tie him to Booty. I might play him solo. On the other side, Bijan Robinson, underwhelming game. Drake London probably back. Michael Penix at 4,800 back. I have a feeling not a lot of people are playing players in this game, though. Is that what you're doing?
I'm guessing that this game will be more contrarian as a whole, just because of how many other games are more appealing. Some we've talked about, some we haven't talked about yet. So I agree that I don't think many will, and I don't know if I will. Drake May is in my pool. I just don't know how much I will get there, given how many other quarterbacks I want to play. But I get the case for it. I mean, Falcons had looked really good, and then Tua puts up 4 touchdowns on them last week. Last week was just I did not see that coming from the Dolphins playing so well against the Falcons, and then Bijan Robinson and the Falcons playing so bad against the Dolphins. That was weird. So I guess with all that said, May and Butte or Diggs are stack considerations. I don't know how much I'll get there though, and Patriots defense has looked really, really good and has impressed me this year. So I don't think I'm going to get to anywhere on the Falcons side either.
Yeah, I mean, the rush defense is great. So
Mhm.
why am I paying 8,700 for Bijan? Even if I
Right.
thought like, oh, people will be off him, it's a bounce back spot. He's still
Mhm.
Bijan Robinson on the road at New England, especially with Tyler Algier still in the mix. I
Yeah.
don't see it there. Mike, are you playing anything in this game?
Yeah, I like, well, first of all, I like the Falcons against the spread. I think they actually are very live to win this game outright. I like Penix to Drake London quite a bit. Not going to be a core play. I'll have one lineup essentially, Penix with Drake London. I want to caution a little bit on New England defensively and offensively because the defense has put the offense in good spots. We've played Dylan Gabriel, Cam Ward, Spencer Rattler, Bryce Young.
Ouch.
They looked good in one game, in my opinion, on the road at Buffalo, where they won the game 23-20 and Josh Allen had the interceptions, things like that. It was a bad week for Buffalo, great week for New England there. But, again, in recent weeks, we're talking about they just played Dylan Gabriel, Cam Ward, Spencer Rattler. I think that while Penix may not be drastically better than any of those guys, I think that this team as a whole is. I know Atlanta's frustrating. Like they just got blown out, like all-time motivational spot coming back the other way. You get, Penix back in there. It's got to be a boost to Penix, frankly. You don't play in the game, team gets crushed. It's got to be a great confidence thing coming back in. Like, well, I'm here now, right? So,
right.
I like Atlanta side in this game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, as far as the spread is concerned, while I do lean to the Patriots because I think they are that good at this point, I do agree with the sentiment that the Patriots stock is higher than it could ever be this season. And the Falcon stock is lower than it could ever be this season. So if you're trying to take an underdog, you should probably be looking to this game first because of what Mike just said, but just because of where people perceive these teams to be. I think that's it for this game. I do want to point out Kyle Pitts has emerged a little bit, but again, Drake London back. Kyle Pitts is only 4,200 here. Let's go to the Panthers and the Packers. Speaking, Mike, of a quarterback who probably feels a little bit better about himself. Andy Dalton, behind a terrible offensive line, an injury-ravaged offensive line, didn't look very good last week. Well, now Bryce Young gets the luxury of going into Green Bay and facing this Packers defense, which good luck. I don't like anything on the Carolina side. I really don't like anything on the Packers side, Mike. I think if I wanted to get really, really cute, I'd play Emmanuel Wilson to save some money at 4,200 and then hope that this is a super positive game script, which it should be, and he gets 12 to 14 carries and scores a touchdown or two. But honestly, like for the most part, I'm out on this game. How about you?
Yeah, I'm going to be out on it. I mean, like as a one-off, if you're playing like lots of lineups, so it'd have to be more than 20 even for me. Tucker Kraft, always fine to have him in your player pool. Be defense or nothing. Certainly nothing on the Carolina side.
Meg, any thoughts here? I mean, I like this feels like we're wasting our time. Like Ted McMillan's 5,800. Like he's a great receiver, but I'm not playing him. Christian Watson's back, which makes the receiver crew like that much more muddled. I get the Tucker Kraft thing at 5,700. Jacobs at 7,700. Absolutely no. Considering like I'm not even sure if he's fully healthy. Are you out on this game? Or are you in on anybody?
I'm in lockstep with you guys. I'm just out on this game. I think Kraft could be the one you'd consider, but I'm out on this game. Too many other good spots. Another
good spot is the Colts at the Steelers, which honestly, you going into the season, we would have thought this would be like a slow game. Well, pace-wise, it probably is going to be a slow game, but we've got an implied total of 27 for the Colts, 24 for the Steelers. It's about a 51-point total here. Colts favored by 3 on the road. Meg, I love Daniel Jones here. Listen, there's better value at quarterback most likely, but Daniel Jones at 6,200 to Michael Pittman at 5,900. I love that stack. JT's 9,800. I might end up, fading him and seeing where that goes. DK Metcalf on the other side, 5,500. I like it. What do you like in this game?
Kind of like you, almost everything, right? I mean, we saw what quarterbacks and offenses have been doing to the Steelers defense. And so I love Daniel Jones stacks. I like stacking with Warren. Then pick your favorite receiver, Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce on the long ball, Josh Downs if he's healthy. You can rotate in any kind of double stacks you want, but I am very into Daniel Jones stacks this week, bringing it back with DK Metcalf. I think it's probably going to be similar to last week, where the second half, it's going to be a negative game script for the Steelers. They're going to have to get away from the run. And, I need to see the health of Freiermuth if you wanted to if you just wanted to get a big old game stack going here, especially in the 1 p.m. only, that I will consider kind of just onslaughting this game, because I think this is going to stand out on the 1 p.m. only slate as the game that could absolutely go nuclear over the total. So I like a lot of pieces here. It's mainly going to be DK Metcalf on the Steelers side, but a lot of pieces on the Colts side. I don't see myself getting to Jonathan Taylor on the main slate, perhaps on a 1 p.m. slate. If I was just, like I said, totally really onslaughting this game, I might get to him then. But Daniel Jones stacks are my favorite.
Mike, any thoughts on Daniel Jones stacks, and what else do you like in this game?
So I have a very contrarian viewpoint on this one here. I love the under in this game at 50.5. It's the first real outdoor game that the Colts have played all season. They played games against Tennessee, especially in the earlier part of the year when it's nice outside, don't really count to me because of how bad Tennessee is. This is a different task. Like the Steelers, no matter how good or bad the defense is, the fans show up, right? And it's definitely a more hostile environment. I'm going to be completely off of this game, believe it or not. That's just an aggressive standpoint I'm taking. It's the highest, basically the highest total here. There's a lot of so far this season, a lot of good. I'm just going to be on San Francisco and the Giants more than I am here. So the only one I can get to would be Tyler Warren because of the tight end position, because of how he is. That's where I would be, but I can't get to the price point on Jonathan Taylor. I can't get to the price point on Daniel Jones, and like Pittman, like they're all fine. It's just the price points to me are a little unobtainable for a game that I have going under the market at this point.
So Meg, I will admit, as much as I like a Daniel Jones to Michael Pittman stack, we've already talked about stacks with cheaper quarterbacks and even solo missions with like Jackson Dart or whoever, where you save a lot of money and you could potentially get similar, if not better, upside. So, I mean, little spoiler alert for my cheat sheet. My favorite stack is Daniel Jones to Michael Pittman, because I just think the Steelers secondary is like just hilarious compared to other Steelers secondaries. Let's just put it that way. And I think they can contain the run like we saw them do even last week against Josh Jacobs and company. So that doesn't mean Jonathan Taylor's not going to have a good game. I'm just saying, I don't know that he's going to pay off his price. So I might want to go a different direction. So I get Mike's argument though completely, because there's again, it's not whether they're going to do well in this game. It's like, how well are they doing compared to other quarterbacks and receivers that we're talking about? But last question on this game, Meg, Jaylen Warren's 5,500. Any thoughts there?
No, I'm not going to go to Warren there. Again, just too many other running backs on the slate that I like better.
Okay, let's go to the last game of the 1 o'clock slate. It's going to be the Vikings and the Lions. We talked about this on the early edge, that if you're into teasers or alt lines or whatever, this might be the one to tease with the Ravens game tonight, right? Because 8.5, you can get it under that 3, 2.5. I'm not recommending that. I'm just saying this game came up because I think everybody expects, Meg, the Lions to win this game, probably handily. But again, Vikings are a solid team. We just don't know exactly what's going on at the quarterback position, as JJ McCarthy will be starting. And I just don't know what to expect there. Lions operating on all cylinders. Meg, are you getting any pieces of this game? Because when I look at the Lions implied total, as usual, at home, it's a high implied total, 28.5. I just don't know where to go. Where are you going, if anywhere?
I mean, that's always what's so hard with the Lions, right? Is where do we go? It's an embarrassment of riches. There are so many ways you could approach it. I think multiple skill positions are going to get there for the Lions. For me, I'm going to lean into the running game. We saw what Vidal did against the Vikings on Thursday night, a primetime game. And we've seen that you want to kind of target running backs against the Vikings defense. And we've got a very good running back tandem with the Lions. So obviously Gibbs is the appealing one. You have to pay for it though. I have both in the pool. I wouldn't play them together per se, but I have both Gibbs and Montgomery are my running backs in the pool in this game. And that's probably where I'll stop. I think you could consider other Lions pieces for sure, but I think it could come, through the running game for Detroit. And I'm guessing that Montgomery's the way to save money and perhaps be contrarian. So I'm considering that, similar to how I did on the game against Cincinnati. There was some hometown narrative there. In this case, it's just, I think they probably want to get David Montgomery going in spots where they can. And this is because they're going to need him for the whole season. And so this is a spot where they can. And so I do have David Montgomery in the pool, of course, with Jahmyr Gibbs as a consideration too.
David Montgomery, 5K, Jahmyr Gibbs, 8K, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 8,300. We got Jared Goff at 6K, guys like Jamison Williams, sub 5K at 4,800, and Sam Laporta, 4,300. Mike, are you getting to this Lions game?
I don't think so. If I did, it would be a Jahmyr Gibbs lineup is where it would be. Definitely not stacking, definitely not looking really for any value. It would, like I said, I think it's probably, the way that I build and everything there and play some of the tournament lineups, it's generally like the computer wants to pivot off of a guy like Christian McCaffrey in a certain spot. And it would be pivoting to Jahmyr Gibbs, getting a little different on those builds, or Jamar Chase down to Justin Jefferson, things like that. So I can pretty confidently say I won't play the game, but if I do, it would be a one-off of Jahmyr Gibbs or a one-off of Justin Jefferson, and probably not in the same lineup.
What would the price of Justin Jefferson have to, because it's 7,800 on DraftKings. What would the price have to be in this particular game, Mike, for you to be excited about playing Justin Jefferson?
That's a good question. Would
it be like 500 cheaper, like in that 7,300, 7,100 range, maybe?
Yeah. I mean, it's close to, being appealing now. I think the answer really to the question still needs to account for ownership. The price, I think, is less important. But he's close right now. It's just a matter of, who do we trust the quarterback situation or not in this? I wish I had a better answer for you, but I'm close to considering him now. It's just
because nobody's playing him, right? Is that why
exactly?
You're okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, listen, JJ's only 4,900, negative game script, all of those things.
I think it'll be 5% owned or less.
Yeah. You're talking about Jefferson?
Yes.
Yeah. And McCarthy will be what, 1% owned?
Yeah. I don't think anyone's really lining up to play him. Although, at 49, you can, let's see. Yeah, I'm projecting 1.8. So less than 2%.
All right. Very interesting stuff. All right. That's the 1 o'clock slate, ladies and gentlemen. We still got 3 games to attack in the 4 o'clock slate, including Mike's Kansas City Chiefs against the Buffalo Bills. That's kind of a big game. All right. We'll get to that right after this message from our partners.
You can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. So even if you can't count on accurate expiration dates,
that is a rookie mistake,
or people appreciating your fashion sense,
Jim, the crowd is not on board here.
You can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus.
Glad we wear our good jerseys.
Yeah. A reminder to click on the podcast link, contest. The FFT DFS Week 9 contest. Click on that as you're listening to us and register for that contest. Again, it's only $5. Meg, we're going to the Saints. We're going to the Rams. I guess there's players on the Rams side. I'd be interesting. Tyler Shuck is the quarterback now he's 4,400. I'm not playing him. I don't think anybody else is playing him. He's the quarterback for the Saints here. So that takes me off of Olave. I'm not considering Shaheed or really anybody on that side, including Alvin Kamara at 5,500. I guess the question for you, Meg, is, are you considering anybody on that side, but perhaps more importantly, the Rams side?
I think I'm out on this game. Of course, you can make a case for Puka coming back, Devontae Adams, Kyron Williams. The Rams side is appealing, but I just think it could be a blowout. Maybe we get a defensive touchdown, similar to the Saints and Bucks last week. You get the defensive touchdown that just kind of then mutes the offensive output. So I'm just out on this game.
Mike, it's another high implied total, just like the Lions. We have even a higher implied total just by fractions, 29 points here for the Rams. Still, I don't know who to play. The price doesn't seem right for any of these guys in terms of wanting to fit them in my lineup.
Yeah. never going to fault someone for wanting to play Puka Nacua when he's on the football field. Like he's got the ability to really pay off that price tag anytime he steps on the field. But I can't get really anywhere else here in this game. It would be Puka or nothing, and leaning towards nothing. Despite him projecting very well, I think it's still somewhat fragile. If he doesn't get there real early, I think the Rams could just really take the air out of the bowl and just get in and get out.
What I will say is that Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong here from an ownership standpoint. I can't imagine people are getting to Kyren Williams. I'm not saying he's going to be like 2% owned, but I can't imagine he's going to be higher than 6-7%. So confirm or deny there. But the bottom line is this could be the type of game where we do see a lot of short fields, and we do see, speaking of taking the air out of the ball, Kyren Williams might only have 55 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. So, I mean, I think that's in play if you wanted to get a little different. Mike, am I right that people aren't rostering Kyren Williams?
They're rostering him more than I was expecting, to be honest with you. Definitely like 12 to 15%, I think.
Okay.
I think he's just so cheap, right? I actually think he's a great pivot from, say, Kamani Badal at 6,300. If you can find that extra 500, I think it would be a really, really strong pivot at that point. So yeah, I think that, and then Ashton Genty is going to be somewhat popular. I like the pivot from Genty to Kyren. So I think he's going to get owned just a little bit.
Interesting. I wouldn't be surprised.
Most of it is just like at home, 2 touchdown favorite starting running back. Like that's why.
That makes sense. I wouldn't be surprised if that ownership ticks down as value, as we get closer, value starts to creep up and people want to jam in the receivers or the stacks that they like and whatnot. But yeah, Kyren Williams, I think, is at least an interesting. Meg, do you agree? Like Kyren Williams, probably an interesting play to pivot to?
Yeah, I absolutely think he's an interesting play. I don't know that I'll end up getting there, but I do see how he could be an interesting play.
Mike, you mentioned Ashton Genty. So let's go to that Raiders game. We've got the Jaguars visiting the Raiders. Jaguars 2.5-point favorites on the road. I believe this was 3. It's now down to 2.5, 44.5 point total. I know a lot of sharp people like the Raiders in this one. I prefer the Raiders to this one, but that's me just fading Trevor like I always do. Mike, Ashton Genty is 6,700. I don't have any interest in him against this rush defense personally. Geno Smith is only 4,600. That's at least interesting. Jacoby Myers, 5,300. Brock Bowers is back. Seems to be a full go at 5K. I'm not super interested in the other side, but I do want to mention Travis Hunter, only 4,700. Travis Etienne, 5,600. Trevor, 5,400. And then, of course, BTJ, 6,200. Mike, what are you interested in this game?
I'm interested in moving to the next game. I can't get anywhere here with the kind of middling price points, guys coming back. Like Genty's going to have some ownership. I really can't get to this game, but it's kind of a product of how I play DFS. Like I find 2 or 3 spots I like. I essentially go way overweight on them. And I can tell you now I'm way heavy on the Giants and the 49ers game. And those price ranges are kind of the same thing you're looking at here. So because there are no real true studs that I want to jam them in, I'm going to be off this game.
Yeah, and Meg, when I look at the Raiders side in particular, where there is some price breaks, I guess there's price breaks on both sides. I don't see a lot of ceiling games from guys like Jacoby Myers or even Trey Tucker. Brock Bowers in his first game back, he could pile up some receptions. I'm still not seeing ceiling games coming from any of these guys, particularly in this matchup. Kind of a pedestrian implied total of 21 points for the Raiders. And then the Jacksonville side, it's still a no for me. What are your thoughts?
Well, you guys I was with you guys, I should say, on the sports line this morning. And, I gave out Travis Hunter plus 240 anytime touchdown. And so I'm going to keep the theme here. I am betting on a Travis Hunter post-bye rookie bump. It's a common term used in fantasy, but it usually does come to fruition. Maybe it won't be the first game off the bye, but we saw him have a little breakout in London in week 7. He went for 101, 8 catches, 101, and his first touchdown. I look for him to get back in the end zone here. The Raiders are a good matchup. There's more coach speak coming off the bye about getting him even more involved, which he was already up to close to 90% routes run. So I just think they're trying to maybe get him utilized more because Brian Thomas Jr. has been a disappointment, was a little banged up. We think he's going to play off the bye, but maybe Travis Hunter emerges as the guy. I just want to be early to it, both in DFS and in the prop market. And so Travis Hunter is my guy. I'm not sure, Mike, what you're seeing on ownership. I think it's looking fairly contrarian at this point. So Travis Hunter, and I'm out in this one, but I'm really excited to play Travis Hunter. And I hope I'm right that he carries over his week 7 London performance after the bye here.
I know there's still questions about his role in the offense, but I'm surprised his price is as low as 4,700.
Same.
Coming off the bye, coming off that game. I would have thought 5,100, 5,300,
right.
Not 47. Mike, your response to that ownership question?
Yeah, I think it'll be contrarian. I'm showing about 10%, but I actually think it'll be single digits for a couple reasons. Number one is it's a later game. For whatever reason, we always tend to see early ownership kind of funnel in early. And when I look at the price points across this whole slate, like I think there's some pretty clear value at running back. I think there's enough tight end value that's like relatively cheap that I really think that people spend a little at wide receiver this week. And because of that, at 4,700, and you're unlikely to be playing a wide receiver in the flex this week. I just think that all those things, the late game, the price points, the average build this week because of all the running back value, I think that it would be a contrarian viewpoint to have some of those cheaper receivers to begin with. So yeah, I think it'll be, I'll say 7% on.
I like it. Then I'm even more in.
I think it's a smart play. And I certainly, for the afternoon slate with just the 3 games, especially considering I'm going to be jamming in a lot of people in this, a lot of players in this Kansas City Buffalo game that we're about to get to. I don't mind putting Travis Hunter in one of the slots there, saving some money there. But let's go to that Kansas City Chiefs Bills game. This one in Buffalo. Chiefs, a 1.5 point favorite, 52.5 point total. Both these teams implied for 25 plus. Patrick Mahomes and company, Mike, have been absolutely on fire. Rashee Rice is back. So Mahomes 7,100, Rice 7,600. I mean, priced up a good amount, I would say. Xavier Worthy, 5,600. We got Travis Kelce, 4,600. We can talk about the Bills in a second, but what do you like in this game?
I like a lot of the Kansas City side. I think Travis Kelce's way too cheap. I think he's back in some sense, and it's all due to Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy being on the field. You remove a guy like Pacheco. I think that there's just a lot to go around here. Kareem Hunt was already the goal line back essentially, right? And now you're just adding more touches to the guy that's already getting all the high value touches. So I think Kareem Hunt's extremely playable at 4,700. Rashee Rice, we're not used to necessarily paying 7,600 for him and more than Justin Jefferson essentially for him, but he gets the football so much. And we haven't even necessarily seen him in a competitive situation yet.
Right.
What's that going to look like in a super competitive situation where they might even be trailing? They put the football in his hands, behind the line of scrimmage 3 or 4 times. He almost had a rushing touchdown in the last game. I think that he should be closer to Jamar Chase than he is this week. I think he's very, very much in line for a huge, huge role. So because of that, I like Mahomes as well at 7K.
I'm actually, as you're talking, I'm looking at props for Rashee Rice. I assume they're super high, but I don't know that they're going to be high enough. Okay, so his prop line is anywhere between 69 and 70.5 receiving yards. I'm not saying that's low, but Mike, that seems like pretty attainable given this game environment.
Yeah, very attainable. He's also someone I think you can attack on volume as well, just on receptions. And but yes, I think that if Kansas City wins this game, it's either because the defense, turns Josh Allen over a bunch, or it's just they score a ton of points and score on almost every possession. And to me, that's 10 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown for Rashee Rice.
You know what's funny? I was going to say 10 catches. I'm not predicting that. I'm saying 10 receptions is not out of the realm of possibility as much as Patrick Mahomes and company are probably going to throw. But with that said, Meg, Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco probably not playing in this game. I think he's probably been officially ruled out. He's 4,700. Brashard Smith, I should mention, is 4,200. But I mean, there's a lot of value at that running back position too. Are you playing Kareem Hunt, and are you playing any of the pass catchers or Patrick Mahomes as well?
Yeah, Kareem Hunt for me, which I was, really been rooting on Pacheco this year for my best ball shares. That hasn't been working out. So with Pacheco out, Kareem Hunt at 4.7K against a really good matchup. I mean, Bills' run defense is definitely one that you want to attack. So Kareem Hunt, 4.7K, I really don't even mind if it's chalky or not. I'm going to be playing Kareem Hunt in most lineups, both main and 4 p.m. only. So that's almost a lock button play for me. And then Rice on the Kansas City side. I don't know that I'll get to, because I'm leaning so heavily into Hunt, I don't know that I'm going to do massive game stacks. I could see 4 p.m. only doing like a Josh Allen, hope he plays hero ball, spreads it out, runs one in or something, and then bringing it back with both Rice and Hunt. So for me, my priorities, obviously you can I have both quarterbacks in the player pool, but my priorities are Rice and Hunt on the Chiefs side. Bills spread it out so much. James Cook, obviously coming off a 200-yard plus rushing game, but this is a very, very, very different matchup for him. So don't know that I'm going to get to a lot of the other Bills pieces. That's why I said maybe in 4 p.m. only, I do like Allen and bring it back with Hunt and Rice. So Hunt and Rice are the main plays for me.
Micah, I kind of love that idea. The Josh Allen, bring it back with Hunt and Rice. Obviously, you like Kelsey as well. Do you like anybody, Mike, on the Buffalo side, including Josh Allen, of course?
Yeah. Look, I'm not sure if I'm going to get to Josh Allen in DFS personally right here. I like his rushing props, though. I think he has to run. So it's possible that I end up getting to him. I prefer the Mahomes side just a little bit more. As far as other plays, in the game, I'm more leaning on Kansas City side just because of the value where it's at. I don't think I'm going to get anywhere. I think like James Cook is fine and he could get there. I'd say where I'm focused and where I would be focused more prop side would be Allen rushing and James Cook receiving would be looks that I would have on a prop side. But in DFS, it's going to be pretty heavily Kansas City, and that's largely a product of where the volume's going and the price points. Like Travis Kelce and Kareem Hunt are just both too cheap for this kind of a matchup.
Totally agree. Rashee Rice is really interesting to me. 4 o'clock slate. I'm definitely, Meg, I'm going to do at least one lineup in the 4 o'clock slate, doing the Josh Allen, bring it back with Kelsey could be included in that in some sort of like 2 lineup rotation situation, but Rice and Hunt, I do like quite a bit. So that makes a ton of sense. I do want to point out that Khalil Shakir is 5,300. If I were to attach a pass catcher to Josh Allen, which I honestly probably won't, but if I were to, I think Khalil Shakir would be the guy. I'm not chasing all the yards after catch that we saw last time they played, but I do think Shakir is that type of guy that we could see Josh Allen settle in with during that game where he might be having to play hero ball and just run and pass to his reliable targets. All right, let's get to our cheat sheets. Meg, give me your favorite stack, chalk buy, chalk fade, contrarian, and value play.
Sure. We talked about it. It's Daniel Jones, Tyler Warren for me against the Steelers defense. We saw what Tucker Kraft did on Sunday night, so I'm going to run that back. But I like mixing in like a Michael Pittman or Alec Pierce potentially as a double stack. Chalk buy for me is going to be Christian McCaffrey. I think it's going to be a really nice bounce back spot there against the Giants. Chalk fade for me is going to be Tyrone Tracy. Don't mind his prop, but I don't know that I see him getting into the end zone. So he's going to be a chalk fade for me. Contrarian play. We talked about it. I like his anytime touchdown, and I like playing him in DFS this week. Travis Hunter is too cheap and looking to be low owned, so sign me up for that. And we just talked about Kareem Hunt, way too cheap for his role, and an excellent matchup against the Bills' run defense.
And I think, Meg, there's a lot of people that want to play cash games as well. I think Kareem Hunt, Tyrone Tracy certainly makes sense. Christian McCaffrey makes sense in cash games. Maybe not Travis Hunter as much. I mean, that's more of a tournament play, correct? Right. But you would say, that the quarterback position, to me, because Daniel Jones, by the way, is my favorite stack as well. I'm doing it with Michael Pittman, but I feel like that's more of a tournament play than it is a cash game play. So I just want to put that out there, because as we've gone through this show, we can put my cheat sheet up now. Like, it's not that I'm changing my mind, but there's other stacks and there's other quarterbacks that, through talking to Meg and Mike, I like as much, if not maybe a little bit better than Daniel Jones, Michael Pittman. So that's part of the reason we do this show, is so that we can kind of shape our opinions a little bit. But my favorite stack is Daniel Jones to Michael Pittman. I think there's a lot of other stacks very much in play here. Chalk buy Christian McCaffrey. Again, I think you can play him in cash. Chalk fade, he's not super chalky. is a bit of a misnomer to call him a chalk fade, but he does have some ownership. So Puka Nacua is my chalk fade. I'm not playing him this week. Contrarian play. This is, again, contrarian plays. I'm playing him over the field, but I'm not jamming him in a lot of lineups. I'm going to go with Woody Marks at 5,400 again as a contrarian play. Value play is Tyrone Tracy. Normally my value plays I like to be sub 5K, but in this case, I think there's some pretty great value on Tyrone Tracy. So I'll take him at 5,100. All right, Mike, top three at each position, and we start at quarterback.
Mac Jones, Joe Flacco, and Patrick Mahomes. Caveat, Jackson Dart will be a close fourth. Jackson Dart will replace Joe Flacco if Joe Flacco is unable to play, and I will not play Jake Browning. So if you're watching this and you think you can pivot and do that, go for it if you want to. That's not what I'm going to end up doing. So it very easily could read Mac Jones, Jackson Dart, Patrick Mahomes. Love that San Francisco game for this spot. When I look at the Giants, I think that losing Scatabo was a big blow. I think that the 48.5 point total is absolutely warranted. I think San Francisco all-time motivational spot with Shanahan. I think he rallies his team and they come out and win this game and ultimately score 30 points when doing so. So I like this spot a lot for the San Francisco offense.
And we didn't talk a ton about the pass catchers. I do want to mention Ricky Pearsall. We saw it up in the notes when we got to that game. It doesn't look like he's going to play. I don't think he's back in practice yet. It could be a nice Juwan Jennings spot. Mike, just real quick on Mac Jones. If you're playing him, are you pairing him with like a Juwan or a Kittle or anybody else?
Yeah. So this week, I think it's going to be a big offensive outburst for them. So it will be Mac Jones, Christian McCaffrey, and then either one of Juwan Jennings or George Kittle, not both of them together, but one of those two. But in all Mac Jones, I would never play a Mac Jones lineup without Christian McCaffrey in it. Mm-hmm. Just the involvement and kind of brings them along. We've seen even time and time again where McCaffrey can do almost all the work between the 20s and it's a Mac Jones passing touchdown. Just playing those two together gives you so much exposure to the offense, right? Outside of something silly with Deebo Samuel being gone and no rushing touchdown from a receiver like that. I think San Francisco's scoring 30 points in this game. I'm getting access to all of that with Mac Jones and Christian McCaffrey. So that's how I would play it.
Last question. The way I see this, if somebody was like, okay, but what about a cash game quarterback? To me, the first two names that come to mind that I know you've at least somewhat endorsed would be Patrick Mahomes and Jackson Dart for cash. Any thoughts on that? Would Flacco or Mac Jones make that cut? Maybe Flacco?
Yeah, honestly, I play a little differently. I don't think quarterback matters that much in those particular spots. So, I'm only playing quarterbacks that I really want to play to begin with. So for me, I would play any of these three in cash. I would play Jackson Dart. Like if you're more comfortable playing Jackson Dart with the rushing over Mac Jones, then by all means, I still love the game. So very, very much fine doing that. But for me, I'm fine playing any of these guys in cash.
Okay. Running back position, top three.
All right. Running back. We got to start with Christian McCaffrey. I mean, staying in the same game, Tyrone Tracy, Christian McCaffrey, and then Kareem Hunt. Tyrone Tracy, while he's not Cam, he's going to have the opportunity to essentially be Cam. And as much as I like the San Francisco 49ers in this spot, I think they're a little fraudulent defensively. And we know they're beat up defensively. I think with a mobile quarterback like Jackson Dart, I think that they're going to have success moving the football. I think Tracy has those opportunities still, and he's just too cheap. CMC, huge bounce back. I expect 150 plus total yards in this game, end zone at least once. And then Kareem Hunt, again, we mentioned this with the Chiefs game. He was already getting the high value touches in this offense for a running back. He's not going to touch the ball any less in this spot. So when you're in the red zone against Kansas City, when Mahomes is out there and all those weapons are out there, teams are not, even at the goal line, they don't defend the run as much as other spots because of how good Mahomes is. And it can be frustrating when you stack Mahomes and he plays great between the 20s and you get Kareem Hunt 3 rushing touchdowns, right? I think that could happen again here in this spot. So I like Hunt. He's too cheap for the role that he should have.
All three of these guys viable for cash, right?
Yes. There's a very good chance you see me with all three of them in the same lineup.
All right. Wide receivers, top three.
Jamar Chase, this is heavily dependent for me on Joe Flacco being out there. If Joe Flacco's not out there, we will pivot. Number 2, Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice, the price points come up. It's absolutely deserved. They finally get a on paper, very, very competitive game. We talked about it throughout the show. 10 catches, 100 yards, a touchdown, I think is very much in play here. And then Jawan Jennings is that cheap receiver. We've talked about cheap receivers across the board that you could potentially play. I'm just going to continue to double down on that game environment that I like, which is San Francisco and New York. You mentioned Pearsall. I think that Jennings has an opportunity here. And at 4,300, it doesn't take a lot to pay this price tag off.
All right, let's close with, I agree. I mean, Jawan Jennings at 4,300, he's just ramping up. I think the efficiency hasn't been there, but I think we'll start to see it. Talk to me about top 3 tight ends.
Travis Kelce, got to be number 1 for me at the price point. He looks to be back. It's a, all-time, motivational spot. It's a huge game for Kansas City. Having Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy on the field just changes things so much for Travis Kelce. Tyler Warren, the only Colt that I want some exposure to. And then George Kittle, again, just I'm pretty much all in on the San Francisco side this week. Looked good last week, finally got in the end zone. Also someone that I believe to be just ramping up. And I think that the Giants, I think, are going to be atrocious defensively in this game.
Yeah. I mean, you're starting to convince me on the 49ers Mac Jones stacks. Again, this is the one week, Meg, where I came into it not super confident with where I was going to go. Normally I have it all outlined before the show, like pen and paper. We do stuff on the computer too. I like doing the pen and paper thing. And like, I've got like my list of quarterbacks that I'm going to play, my list of running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, 4 o'clock slate, 1 o'clock slate. It's all just kind of written down for me. This week I started to write it down and then I just stopped because I was like, you know what? I want to do the show. Because I need Meg and Mike to like, not talk sense into me, but start to like mold my opinion. So I'm so glad we're doing this show. Let's go to Thursday Night Football. Meg, you gave out a play on the Early Edge earlier this morning. Again, everybody, Early Edge, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock on the Sportsline YouTube channel, and of course in your podcast feed. Meg, why don't you tell everybody what your play was and let us know if you think the Ravens are going to cover the 7.5.
Sure. So I gave out Derrick Henry over 89.5 rushing yards. I got it yesterday. So if it has gone up at your book, I still like it. And I'll just caveat that because I'm going to be laddering it up to at least 110. I think this is a big Derrick Henry kind of bounce back spot, even though he got 2 touchdowns last week, 122 rushing yards the week before. It's not been the Derrick Henry season we're used to. Lamar Jackson's back. He gets way more yards per carry with Jackson there. And the Dolphins give up 5 yards per carry. So kind of a perfect matchup for Henry to have a massive game. I like that. And it ties in well with, yes, I absolutely think the Ravens cover here. I think the better team will win and win by a lot.
Mike, you agree. What your pick on the show earlier this morning on the Early Edge was the Ravens minus 7.5.
Yeah, I think it should be at least 10 in this spot. I think Lamar is going to come out and be good. While the Dolphins and Tua looked great last week, I'd love to see it for 8 consecutive quarters. I don't think we're going to. When I look at this team, I think that Baltimore defensively gets up for it and they play better when Lamar's on the field. So I think that they have a ton of success. I don't see Miami stopping this offense at all. And I ultimately think they run away with it, score enough points. Pretty easy win for Baltimore.
Real quick, Mike, I want to ask you something about Showdown. And I know probably this hour of the day you haven't run your simulations, but we did get a compliment on Twitter. I'm trying to remember who it was from. My bad on this. It was either from Kyle G or Bradley Merrill, maybe. I can't remember who it was. But they said that they didn't really do a lot of NFL DFS, but they started listening to our show and they're doing it. And for the record, they showed their green screens, the recap, but whatever, their contest screens. And it was like relatively low stakes, which I absolutely love because these are people that are like having fun with it instead of like investing too much money and being way too stressed. Like sometimes, admittedly, I am. So with all of that said, we're starting to get people that are like watching the show because they like Meg, they like Mike, and maybe myself and all the graphics that we're getting from Matt. And now they're starting to dabble and they're just like strictly having fun with it, but winning money at the same time. So compliments to you two, because they specifically mentioned you two in terms of like kind of getting them to turn that page. So Mike, with all of that said, anybody from a Showdown perspective or a captain perspective that you're hyper focused on?
Honestly, I'm going to be jamming Lamar and Derrick Henry both together in lineups as much as I can. On the other side, Malik Washington is someone that's going to just price point and volume opportunity going to happen there for me. But yeah, really jamming in as much Lamar and Derrick Henry as I can. I love Meg's call on laddering. I actually consider laddering up to 150 at I believe you can find that in the plus 580, plus 600 range.
That sounds great. Yeah.
I do like a big Derrick Henry night.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they start to assert their dominance and get going downhill in the second half, we've seen it. We can picture it right now in our head. Him just straight line running and nobody's catching him and some business decisions perhaps being made in a game that's already out of reach. And I'm not even saying that's going to happen. I know you guys think the Ravens are going to roll. I think the Dolphins are going to be competitive for at least a half, kind of lean to them plus 4.5 first half, but I'm not making that bet. I'm just saying this is what I think might happen. But as soon as the Ravens start going downhill, it's Derrick Henry time.
The Derrick Henry freight train is one of my favorite sites in an NFL game, just where he goes and you're like, you are not stopping him.
You know it when you see it. Once he gets to that second level, you're like, nope, nobody's tackling that. All right. Well, we got to tackle this show. We got to get out of here. Meg, thank you so much. Mike, thank you so much. This was a great show because for me at least, and I hope for everybody listening, we always have our first impressions coming in. Maybe you've listened to some content on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, some great content out there. But I love this show because it's a little later in the week, and it kind of gets me going in the direction I think I want to go for Sunday, the main slate, the afternoon slate, and the early slate. A big thank you to Matt for all the graphics help, all the work behind the scenes. Couldn't be better, frankly. And again, a big thank you to Meg and Mike. We'll see you next time. Do not forget to register for that $5 contest. And of course, rate and review this show if you could on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time on Fantasy Football Today, DFS.